Hello and welcome back to my craft room. I've suddenly realised it's the 2nd of September. My September bead box from Deborah Beads will be on its way at any time now. And I haven't actually done anything with the August bead boxes yet. It's been a very busy month one way and another. So I'm going to do things a bit differently this time. I'm going to mix up the two boxes. So I have the bead box and the kit box, and what I'm going to do is mix them in together, and I think I've got some idea of what I want to end up with. Probably a couple of necklaces and perhaps a bracelet. Okay, I've also got some other bits to throw in from my stash as well. So I'm going to switch you to desk cam and show you what I've got. So this was the kit box. So came with instructions to make this bracelet, and normally I do make pretty much follow the instructions, except for not making the earrings. And then this was the bead box. So I think what I'm going to do, I've got in my head a kind of because it all reminds me of the sea. Even down to the pink ones are like prawns, and these ones are like coral, and lovely colours of the sea. And obviously the sparkly, crackly crystal ones. I don't know what are they called. Crackle glass beads, turquoise crackle glass beads. But I think I like the idea of having these colours together. And these colours together, the little pink crystals you can just about see in there. And then maybe something else with this beautiful natural shell and the coral coloured faceted drops there. I think my first step is going to be to lay all of these out into my bead tray. And I'll quickly show you some of the other things I've got here to one side that from my stash. So these are where I've kind of broken up old earrings, or the leftovers from kits go in here. Might want some more white ones. I don't like the big plasticky ones so much, but there's some quite nice white kind of glass ones in there. This one, or any of these would work nicely with it. I like the sort of boho style of layering several necklaces together, so that's probably what I'm going to be going for, and maybe some of these as well. I've got a couple of bits here. I've also got, these are kind of short lengths of chain. I've got my jump rings. I've got some, I've forgotten what these are called, like end caps for beads. I mean, they'll be too big for these beads probably, but yeah, but that's the idea. And I've got some different kinds of spacer beads as well. So, and most importantly, I've got some wire. My son left this a wire for me to use. It's tinned copper wire. So I mean, normally I would go to use this craft wire that I've got. I don't know if this is just a little bit too soft for what I've got in mind. I know this will work. I want to try some wire wrapping, which I've not really properly tried wire wrapping. Well, I have done little wire wrap charms, but not where the wrapping of the wire is a really decorative part of it. And I do want to try some of that. And this is what my son actually sat and did while we were streaming the other day. He just sat and he was just like doodling with wire, really, and I just really liked these, and so I might try and incorporate these actual ones into my necklace. And it just made me think I want to have a go at some proper wire wrapping myself, so that's what I'm going to do. So first things first, I'm going to lay out all the beads I've got. Okay, so that's all the goodies that go, except for these. Let's take those out. So what's in here is everything that was in both the bead box and the kit box for August 2021. So now what I need to do is just have a little bit of a plan in my head and perhaps lay out a couple of ideas on here, and then decide which of these bits I'm going to be throwing in. I think these beads that came from an old broken necklace, largely, or a couple of broken necklaces, would work very well with some wire wrapping. These colours would work very well. I like the idea of it being like a sort of like a beachcomber necklace or something, so it looks like the odds and ends that you might pick up on the beach. Yeah, some of these would be quite good. These look like little polished pebbles or bits of beach glass that you pick up to me, so I think that would be quite nice. And then I've got my did I show you these already? I can't remember when I got these, but they're like lots of little short lengths of chain like that. So I'm thinking I might use them linked together with jump rings with little charms on to make one long chain. There was a chain in the bead kit as well, but it's quite a short one for me, so I will want to extend that in some way. Right, so first thing I'm going to do is put one of these little wire crimps. They just look like a tiny silver bead. I'm going to thread one of those onto my wire. Put it through the jump ring and then back through the crimp. And then I'm going to pull it up tight, give it a squeeze with my flat pliers, there we go, and that just holds everything securely. And I can use my little wire cutters to snick this off as close as I can. Now I'm going to start threading my beads. So it should be a bit of a doddle because I've already laid them out. I'm going to think about it as I go along. Oh wait, I was just going to put some of these spaces in between. I've just checked that it's come to about the right length. I'm happy with how it looks, so I just need to finish off the other end now. So I need my other little wire crimp. So here's my other tiny crimp. I'm gonna put that on. I need another jump ring for the other end. I don't know how it's even possible, but the wire crimp managed to go right up inside the little end bead I was using, and I can't get it out of the hole. So I'm using a smaller end bead this time, and luckily I've got some spare wire crimps in my stash, so I shall use one of these. End bead, wire crimp, through the jump ring and back through the wire crimp again. So then I'm going to finagle it all down so so that the crimp is as close to the end of the beads as possible before I squish it. And then I'll squish it with my pliers. To flatten it and make sure that everything's secure. There we go. And then when I'm confident that that's right, I can just cut off the loose end, and that's done. Now I just need to add a lobster clasp on, and this came in the kit box. Using 2 pairs of pliers, twist the jump ring open like that. You don't open it outwards like that, you twist it open. Pop the lobster clasp through and then close the jump ring. Oops. There we go. That's that done, and then I thought I'd make a little charm to dangle off the fastening. So to do that, I'm going to use one of the head pins that came in the kit box. I'm going to use this one actually because it's longer. I'm going to start with a crystal, little faceted bead. So this was one of the ones that came in the bead box, as did these faceted dark colour ones and the pink glass sort of marbly ones. These larger ones came from my stash. Nice to get a chance to use them. These little charms all came in the bead box as well. And then I'm going to put this large bead and finish with a small silver bead. I think that's quite pretty. Yeah, that looked nice on there. And now I'm going to make a little wire loop. Yeah, I think I'll wrap it. So I'm getting hold of the wire just a couple of mils away from the last bead, and I'm bending it back at a right angle, and then I'm just with my hand just forming the wire around the pliers. Move the pliers back, take the wire behind, so I've now got a little loop. Swap to my other pliers, and I'm just gonna wrap that wire a couple of times around that wire, around the, you know, the wire that I left bare. Not really left myself enough to play with there, but you can do it. It's not perfect, but it'll do. I'll just snick that off as close as I can get. There we go, my little wonky charm. I'm just going to use another smaller jump ring, I think, to dangle it from here. I'll put that on it as well. Just twist my jump ring open again, thread it through my charm and my little, what I think of as a starfish, but I think it's actually a flower that came in the kit box, and just thread it onto one of my jump rings there. Twist twist it back the other way to close the jump ring. There we go. Now I'm going to be moving on to, I might be rethinking, but then you never get to use everything that's in this kit. I've also got this green cord with a couple of cord ends, and this green beading wire, and the chain, and the little broken kind of piece of lengths of chain that I've also got set aside there. So right, I'm going to switch you off for a minute while I have a bit of a practice arrangement. So I've got a sort of rough arrangement, and I've had a bit of a practice with some wire wrapping techniques I want to try. I think this is my favourite. Yeah, I think that's my favourite. I've also made one like this, like a little stack of flat beads. One like this, where it's a cluster of beads, just simple wire loops at either end to join them together. This is a more rustic example of the wire wrapping. So I'm going to show you a couple of, oh yeah, and this one, that was like a kind of random, wrapping, which I quite like. So I want the whole thing to be kind of, I think I've already said, evocative of that thing where you know you're roaming across the beach and you're picking up all sorts of little treasures and things that have ended up dumped on the beach one way or another, and I want the whole thing to feel quite eclectic. So now I've had a little bit of a go with these, I'm just going to show you a couple of the things, techniques I'm going to use, and then I'll go through, wire the rest, and come back and show you how it all comes together. So let's have a go at one like this with the spiral. I love this because it looks like a little perfume bottle or something. It's very cute. So with this one, using the wire, I started off with about sort of 10 centimetre piece ish. I start off with my round nose pliers and make the smallest possible loop that I can. This camera seems to be really good at focusing on all the lines and tiny wrinkles and things in my hand, but can't focus on the thing I want. Very annoying. Right, now I'm going to get my flat nose pliers, grab hold of that loop that I've made, and just start using my hand to wind the wire around and around, keeping quite close and creating a spiral. So I keep adjusting the position of the pliers as I go around until I think my spiral is about big enough. So I'm going to try it on this one. It seems to work better on a bead that's fairly flat. So when I've got the spiral about the size I want, I'm going to just bend the wire back like that, thread on the bead, and bend that spiral over it like that. And now I'm just grabbing hold of the wire about no more than 2 millimeters from the top of that bead, and I'm bending it back to like a right angle pretty much. Now using my fingers, I'm just bending that wire over the pliers and taking it back, so I've created a loop. Keeping hold of that loop firmly with my flat nose pliers, I'm now going to take another pair of pliers and use it to wrap the wire around that sort of 2mm length of wire that I left. This is a bit I find the fiddliest of all, and I just need to keep practicing. And there are plenty of tutorials on YouTube that will show you this part better than I can. So I've got that as close as I can. I'm going to snick off the wire. Tuck in the little end. There we are. So that's my another little wire wrapped charm to make these little simple clusters with a loop at either end. It's really straightforward to do. Just cutting about about a 4cm piece of wire, and then just under a centimetre from the end I'm just bending it back. And then I'm using my round nose pliers to just create a little loop. I can straighten the whole thing up. Put on a spacer bead, a focal bead, and another spacer bead. And then cut the wire off to just under a centimetre again. Angle it back and do the same thing that I did at the beginning. Just use my round nose pliers to create that little loop and just sort of tweak the angle so it's nice and straight. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, so to do the random wrapped bead, I'm going to take a piece of wire about 10 centimetres long, bend back just under a centimetre, use my round nose pliers to create that little loop, straighten it out a bit, thread it through the bead, and bend the wire up. And then I'm just going to randomly wrap the wire around the bead without any particular plan. So I'm just going to tuck the end under. Just completely random. I did some that were just a little stack. So again, I'll start with a piece about, well actually that's less than 10 centimetres, but I think it'll be enough. I'm going to bend back about a centimetre from the end, use my round nose pliers to make the little loop, straighten it out. Ooh. Create my little stack. Oh, I've got way too much wire there. Cut off down to about a centimetre. Bend it back and again create my loop. So I think that's it. I think I've covered all the different kinds of wiring I'm going to do. With this little piece that my son made, just going to change the top slightly so that it's got a closed loop to hang it from. I'm just going to hang it like that amongst a cluster of charms. So that's it. I'm going to carry on wiring those, and I'll come back and show you how it all comes together at the end. Right, so it's the next day, and I've just fallen out of bed, jumped in the shower and come straight to my craft room to finish what I started last night. It went on a lot longer than I thought. So let's go straight down to the desk and I can show you where I got to last night. So I finished wiring all of the beads in the basically three different ways that I showed you. Then I used those short lengths of chain to join them all together with jump rings, and that's it. So this is my finished beachcomber necklace. I'm really chuffed with it actually. It's the kind of thing I would wear a lot. So I've still got the chain, the green beading wire, the cord with the end clamps, these little seed beads, and the mixture of blues and green beads. I'm tempted to make up another quick wired bracelet just using the seed beads with some of these from my stash, because that would go nicely with the that one even looks a little bit like a shell. Yeah, I might do that if I've got time. I'm now going to have a bit of a faff while I decide what I'm doing with these beads. So I'm going to turn you off for a minute and come back and show you when I've decided what I'm doing. Okay, so I have just realised I've just gone to stop recording, at which point I realised that I had never pressed start recording. So I think I've managed to not film the rest of my process to show you, which is really infuriating, and that's what I get for trying to do things in too much of a hurry. Anyway, I'll just talk you through what I did. I ended up using some of the seed beads from the kit along with the beads from my stash that I was showing you, and I just did them on wire, the same as I did with this, with the Prawn Cocktail bracelet, to make a bracelet to go with my beachcomber necklace. I couldn't find a way to get this cord through these beads, because I didn't have a needle that was big enough to take the cord and then would go through the beads. So I ended up putting out some elastic thread like this, which I'd had from a previous kit. So it does all end up getting used, and I just threaded it all onto elastic, finished it with a knot. I put a little dot of glue on it, and I'm just waiting for that glue to completely set before I clip off the ends. It's quite a nice easy way to put a bracelet on actually. So my plan would be that I'd wear it doubled over as a bracelet like that. So yeah, I'm really happy with how those ended up. It's quite nice to have used up some beads from my stash as well as what came in the kits. The kit just kind of, you know, gets your creative ideas going. Yeah, I'm just really sorry I didn't end up filming the process for you. That might have been more helpful. I hope you still found it useful or enjoyable to watch, and I really appreciate you joining me today, and I hope to see you again really soon. Bye.